pretty quick, but just first thoughts on the last couple of minutes of this one and where you fell short.
Well, the one that people will talk about, of course, we have a chance for a tip ball interception, and we're close, but again, I don't know if we played real confidently in coverage all day, to be honest, we started to create some pressure. I thought we did some, that's a good quarterback. He took shots. He put the ball where he needed to. He spread it around. They had a good game plan on attacking us, and they executed. Now, you want to be better. You want to tackle better. You want to be able to make consistent things, but we just didn't do enough.
And how are you sort of navigating the idea of preserving time there as they're inside the 5 at the 2? Are you trying to save some time? Are you thinking about that at all?
Are you thinking are we gonna they scored right away on one play. Are we gonna let them score or whatever?
That's the question,
it's kind of and guys, we can, it's a lot of shoulda, coulda, wouldas in this game, and of course, I'm sure there's more of you that have those type of questions. But I can go back to, why did we score on second down and not third down and wait and kind of do some things? But we felt we had a really good call on second down that would be successful. Third down, we haven't been great in third down percentages, and again, then you're getting into going to win the game or kicking a field goal to tie. So again, sometimes this team lost the game, not one side of the ball lost the game today, guys. We turned the ball over inside the 5-yard line. We did other things today that can be scrutinized, and not just the last minute, whatever. So, but there's a time when you have a chance to score in that you got to try to make a stop. But again, when they got in rhythm, I think we got on our heels at times, and I think I thought up front we got a little more aggressive. I think they probably wore down a little bit up front. We started to get a little more pressure, but I still don't know how confidently and aggressively we played in the back part really all day.
You mentioned the fumble, and there were a couple times where you guys kind of faltered at the goal line. What did you make of some of those goal-to-go situations where you settled for field goals earlier on?
Yeah, our red zone efficiency wasn't where it needed to be early in the game, and you probably bring up other great points that we got to look at. That again, if we score touchdowns and not kick field goals, but then maybe we're in a better mood in here today. So, but I just want to make sure they have 1 or 2 field goals themselves. 2. Yeah, they had 2 field goals, so they probably feel the same way. And they're, that's, anytime you get a stop. But you're right, we could be cleaner. We have a bad snap inside the 5, inside the, we're going in to score, and then we fumble. All those things are just little things that we got to be better at holistically.
And then what'd you make of Bengali's targeting?
Hard to see from my point. I really haven't seen enough of it. What'd you think of it?
I'm not sure really. I mean, it was after the play, but I don't know.
Yeah, the interpretation for me is, I don't know if this gets me fined or not, but Colin will cover it. So, they said head and neck area, but shoot, you can see that on a lot of hits in the pocket when guys are, if it's in this area. So I don't know. That it was unfortunate. I don't know, that obviously it wasn't called on the field. It was called from up above. So I don't know. I really thought that we had gotten into a lot better spot calling targeting. And now it seems to kind of have reverted itself back to being a lot more frequent than where it was a year or so ago.
Lance, I think you guys felt 26 more score games over the last 2 years. Is there any themes that are kind of emerging or something you want to change from what you've seen on tape?
I wish I could. If I knew what it was, we would be doing it. Okay, and some of those things, I think everyone has got a little different twist to it, and not surprising that question's asked, and we need to be better. Like I said, it's happened maybe before. I guess this year on either side, we have different people calling calling defenses. We have different people calling offensive plays. We have different players out there playing this year. So it isn't like it's one thing. So I can tell you that we have worked 2-minute drills to nauseam this year, and situational football has been covered more than ever before. And but obviously we got to do more, and I need to do better, and we'll continue to look for that.
Yeah, Emmanuel Henderson kind of had a special game today. I think the most receiving yards since 2017 for a cancer receiver. What do you make of his day?
Yeah, pretty explosive day. Again, the first play of the game was exciting, and again, when we score early, I don't know, sometimes do we get is it a confidence thing? Do we keep throttled down? I don't know if we're doing a good enough job there. Obviously, he had another big play then in the second half that got us going, but again, he's played some really good football for us, and he and Jalen make a good combination. I thought, all in all, I thought our receivers had a good day. I think the different guys stepped up and made plays for us, and again, that we knew it would be tough in some ways just to consistently run the ball on them. I think I said that to you guys on Monday. So for us to be able to mix some things in and throw it as well we did was definitely a plus.
You mentioned some of Cincinnati's deep passes. From what you heard on the headset, or let's start here, what were they doing to put so much pressure on the defensive backfield? And then on the headset, from what you heard, what sort of adjustments were made?
Again, we're mixing up different coverages. We're trying different things. We're in different packages. We're trying to mix things up to help the pass rush. We're helping things to play different coverages, from nickels to dime. We got our base personnel. We got our, a lot of different things there. Again, some communication issues. Some was, like I said, confident with cushion and things like that. I think we've got to be able to play with. And again, there's a couple of you guys that are still pretty young football players that I think probably had one of their bigger tests this game as much as any other that have throwing the ball on a consistent basis.
And you mentioned struggling a little bit on third and fourth down. Just thinking back over the course of this season, maybe not what frustrates you most, but what are the themes you maybe are noticing of some of those situations for other teams?
That's something as the game went down, as I kind of looked at, I think at half, I don't know if we were 1 for 5 or 6 or something at half, and it's something that I know that, as we get into this week a little more, really need to dive in. What's our theme? What's, is there a game plan issue? Is there a common execution issue? Are we getting something there? But then again, we made some other plays on there as well. I should look here. What did we end up for the day? 7? No, that was them. We're 3 for 9 on there, 2 for 2 on fourth down. So again, if you look at the third downs and then convert them into fourth, the third downs are still part of that. Otherwise, so if you're 5 for 9 on that series, right? So it's probably a little bit better, but we need to be better on third down.
And for you holistically, just 3-2, 1-1 in Big 12. How do you feel about your team right now?
We got a lot of work to do. Now we got a big test, got to go on the road for a couple of weeks. We're going to, as I told the team, I said, you better get used to this, because this is the way this conference is. You got a lot of new players that maybe haven't been in this conference or haven't been in this program. You got to be able to understand that there's going to be tons of close football games in the Big 12, and you better embrace it, and you better find a way to flip the script and make these things go our way. And that starts on Monday when they walk in the building, and what we take off this film and how we move forward towards UCF.
Coach, back here, you talked about there were some positive things in this one. The guys come back from that deficit late in the second half. Jalen goes for 500 yards, but there's also the frustrating part of it as well. It's kind of what's your, overall takeaway? What do you say to the guys after this?
Well, I told them at halftime that we were in the football game, but hadn't really played very well. And we were pretty much surviving at that time, because we can play a lot better. And I said, we'll have a chance to see what the team will really be about moving forward in the last 30 minutes. And that, I told them I was proud, because they kept fighting and they kept playing, and I thought we played hard. And there's some execution things and all that we all got to do better. But I'm proud of that point of that, and I told them that. But as I tell them after every win and every loss, when you walk in the building on Monday and when you turn on the film, you've got to own what's there, and you got to be coachable, and you got to find that and take that and improve upon it, and not be defensive or blaming someone else or whatever. You got to own it and move on. And if we have a chance to do it, and I think we got a good group, we're gonna find out. But it's gonna continue to get challenging.
Coach, right here in the front, sorry.
I'm sorry, where you at? Okay.
You've had a lot of home play recently. I know there's comfortability playing at home, but your next 2 back-to-back are away. What's this team gonna need to bring to those 2 away games in order to be successful?
Well, again, you got to block out. Always we'll work on those things as we did. Playing down in Columbia, I thought we prepared and and played well for the most part. Could play a lot better in that regard, but had chances. Again, we've got to clean some things up. One thing about when you go on the road, many times it's really the guys in that locker room is all you got. There's depends on the proximity of the game, but how many people are traveling. So you really got to bond together. And sometimes going on the road in these situations, especially a night game, you got a chance that you're going to be around each other for a long time in there. You got a chance to bond as a team and do some things, and it's kind of us against the world type mentality that you have to prepare for.
Have one more, Jordan?
Lance, we saw Deshaun leave the game early.
Yeah.
How's he doing? Do you know?
It's a leg of some sort. I was just told that he was done for the day, and they would know more tomorrow, hopefully, or something like that. I asked Deshaun how he was doing there starting the second half, and he said, "Don't worry about me, Coach. We'll worry about that tomorrow." And so he was more focused on his teammates and things. So it's kind of a wait and see, but. Never good to lose him. We lost Laquan Robinson as well, and Quando at safety, and Mason out, and Devin out for a little bit. We're stretched a little bit depth-wise there right now.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thank you.